What's happening, guys? Good morning, and welcome to Morning Perspective. Give it a second here. We'll let some people jump on. So this one, I guess we could call this the mobile studio here. I am actually on the road here out in just outside Detroit, Michigan. So if anybody out there is familiar with Chesterfield, Michigan, I am in the parking lot of my appointment, which starts at 8 o'clock here. So this one's going to be a short one. Good morning, Judd, Tricia, Sean. What's happening, guys? Wanted to talk about how to find joy in the journey this morning. You know, I think this topic is one that people really overlook in their lives, and it's self-talk that I have to have with myself quite frequently. So, you know, for those who are on here, you know, I talk to Judd on a regular basis. He can attest to, good morning, Nico. What's happening, man? He can attest to some of that self-talk that needs to happen. You know, when you, you know, the one thing I will tell you is the bigger your dreams are, the bigger the adversity that you're going to go through, or the harder the journey becomes, right? Because it's just how it goes. You know, the bigger things that you want to accomplish, the bigger things the things are that are going to stand in your way, and the bigger the mountains that you have to climb to get there are. And so I think it's important to really, you know, set out every day. Good morning, Paula. How are you? It's important to set out every single day with, you know, truly just a positive and grateful mindset, so that, you know, those things that happen throughout the day, you can really learn how to take those in stride. And so the number one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about this morning was just, you know, establishing and following a morning routine. I can't tell you how important it is. And so for me, I look at that morning routine and more than just, you know, checking boxes and, you know, doing the, you know, being grateful and writing down my goals and all of those kinds of things. I really look at that morning routine that I have as a way to set a rhythm for my day, and ultimately a rhythm for my life. And so, you know, when I wake up in the morning and everything kind of goes the way that it's supposed to, I walk through my routine in the right fashion, in the order that I normally do it. It's amazing how those things, those days, end up being good days. And, you know, so I would tell you guys to really look at what you do every single morning. And first and foremost, you know, how to find joy in the journey. I think it starts with how you start your journey to every single day. You know, what does that look like? And you have to have some familiarity that creates that rhythm, that creates kind of a comfort zone for you, so that as you go throughout the day, you don't just feel, you know, off. You don't feel clunky. You don't feel like, you know, everything's just kind of knocking you off course and you know, taking you for a ride, if you will. So for me, it starts out, you know, as soon as I get up in the morning. I don't think my wife's on here yet, but she can attest to it. I turn to the side of the bed, I put my feet on the floor, and I literally put my head in my hands, and I just spend a minute or so being grateful for getting the gift of life, for being alive. You know, I use this analogy quite a bit. Those of you who talk to me on a regular basis, you know, I always say, you know, if you were offered $1 million tomorrow, or you were offered life, and you had the choice between the two, which would you pick? And everybody I've ever asked that question to said they would pick $1 million, right? But we wake up on Monday, we wake up on Tuesday, we wake up on Wednesday. What if you woke up on Monday, you got $1 million. Tuesday, you got $1 million. Wednesday, you got $1 million. I think by Wednesday, you'd be pretty damn happy, right? But every morning we get the gift that we choose, that we really want. And I don't think we take enough time to be grateful. So I think that's a powerful way to start off your day. And then for me, it's, you know, just getting armored up for the day is what I call it. But, you know, so for me, that's reading some scripture, just getting my spiritual being kind of in check. And then walking through, setting my goals, setting my day up, figuring out, you know, what things might fly at me. And those things are the keys. What's happening, Mike? Good morning. Michael Nast, the man probably responsible for me being on here right now. Thank you for jumping on, man. But, just keeping your day in perspective, man. And, it is really important to prepare yourself for the things that are going to happen, because I think that so many people go through life expecting it, as we talked about yesterday, expecting it to be easy, and that's just not the way that it's going to be. And so the more that you armor yourself up in the morning and you set your mind in the right place, that's really what it's all about. It's, creating that rhythm, creating that process that you have in the morning that really gets you on the right track for the day. And so that is kind of the one thing that I wanted to start the conversation with, is really take a look at your morning routine. And I don't care if you're in business, if you're, a stay-at-home mom, if you're, whatever your job in this world is, and they're all important, you have to create that rhythm, and you have to create, that environment in your life where you can win at whatever it is that you do. And you start off your day being grateful, having the right perspective, and I promise you that will transition into wins. I see it happen all the time. I see, the people that I coach, I see it in my own life, and it's really, truly just about how you start your day. And so getting your mindset in the right space at the beginning of every day is the way that you overcome obstacles. And people probably look at you at times and wonder how you overcome these things that you overcome. But that's how it's done. It's by creating that mindset that allows you to look at things through the right lens. And, that is the most important thing I think that you guys can do for yourselves, is to evaluate your morning routine and then establish one that starts to create some momentum, starts to create some rhythm, and starts to create some wins in your life, right? So that's number one. So let's talk about, when adversity does hit, and what are the things that really, tend to knock people off track. And, what's interesting about how most people live their life, and listen, we all get into it. So when I say most people, I mean me too at times. I've been working on it long enough that it doesn't happen to me as often as it used to. But most people live their lives being responsive to what happens to them. And, so people, and I wrote down some notes before we jumped on here, but, people are talking about you. People are saying things about your business. People are, doing things to your family or causing your family grief. And so what we normally do as human beings is that we respond to all of those things. We get involved in small things that don't lead to any kind of benefit for us, right? So, some of the things that I wrote down is just gossip and, things that go on, and then, politics, conversation about that, worrying about what somebody else, maybe your competitor, is doing in business. And really what happens when we do that, guys, is we give our emotional makeup, we give it away to somebody else. So we lend our emotions to people that ultimately, all of those things that I just described, those are ways that people play small. And so if you are trying to do big things in life, or you are trying to keep a happy life, a stable life, and one that is predictable, positive, all of those things, the key to it is number one, be busy enough that those things just bounce right off of you. And that is the best thing that I can tell you. When I have things going on in my life, and there have been some things recently that they created some anxiety. Things were just off a rhythm. They're not going the way that they should. And ultimately, what we need to do in those situations is just take action. Just take massive action in a positive direction to be able to correct the course. And so, again, going to massive action. So what do I do? What are the steps? Well, the first thing that you have to do is establish exactly what got you to success in the first place. So the things that create good things in your life, you have to know what those are. And so for us in business, if I'm talking about business challenges, I can easily go back to exactly what we need to do to create some activity that creates momentum in our business and gets us back on track. And so an example is a couple of weeks ago, we just had a choppy week. It wasn't feeling right. Things weren't going as well as they should. And so that's what we did. We just got back to business. We had an open conversation on our team call about, why did we start doing this in the first place? What is our true mission? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? And then let's just get to work doing that again. And so you do that over and over and over again, and eventually it creates that rhythm and momentum in your life. And that is how you embrace those things that people might look at as, man, how do they overcome that adversity? How do they smile and find joy in that journey of what looks like it's really tough? And it is really tough, by the way. It's not that, people that are able to handle it have it any easier than people that are super negative and get focused on the wrong things. None of that is true. It is just that people realize that I have a choice in that moment. And, I've said this yesterday, I'll say it again. Things happen for us, not to us. Ed Mylett says that often. One of my mentors, one of the people I follow closely. If you guys aren't following him, I would highly recommend it. But everything is happening to us. It's happening for us, not to us. And so find the message in there. What is it? And life is not supposed to be just all good things, because you would never be able to appreciate those really special moments if it wasn't for a little bit of adversity to get there. And so how do you deal with those moments of adversity? I think it's, number one, create a routine that doesn't make them so overwhelming in the first place. And number two, be able to get back to that place of where you need to be mentally so that you can actually process what it really is. Because we tend to get all caught up in these things. And then when they're over, when we finally get through that whole process of thinking through it and getting to the other side of it, we realize that it wasn't anywhere near what we thought it was in the first place. And, so those seasons of life are going to come and go. And the reality is, those of us who choose to look at things, look at everything as happening for us, are always going to come out on top. And so if you're a person that feels like, you haven't come out on top, or you haven't been on a winning streak, or you haven't, you just haven't created the momentum, don't look at other people and think that everything is going well for them, because that is never the case. There are always things that are happening in people's lives that, present them with challenges and present them with those situations where they have to choose how they're going to deal with these scenarios. And so, how to find joy in your journey is always finding a place to go back to. So always having your established values in the front of your mind and always living by those values. And, I had a conversation on the way out here with one of my clients and a guy that has become a really good friend of mine. And we were talking about, when you live by those values, you can't just live by those values in an instant. So if somebody does something that's against your values, you can't just, I can't just go fire someone because they did something that are against my values in an instant, because what would happen is I would lose the trust of the rest of my friends, the rest of my people on my team, the rest of, people that look to me and say, okay, you say you care about people. You say, you want the best for everybody. Here's the vision for the company. But if you react in an instant and you allow someone else's actions to control your emotions, then are you really acting in line with your values? And so it's really important, guys, to make sure that you have your values in mind, but at the same time, you are able to take those things and process them properly and make the right decisions so that ultimately you are always living by those values that people know of you, right? So, you know, for me, that is the most important thing. You know, I would rather go through a little bit of suffering myself and be able to stand by my values of, you know, caring about people, wanting the best for everyone, giving everyone the opportunity to fix the things that, you know, are going wrong right at that moment. But have the respect and the trust of people in the process because, you know, you did the right thing. And so, you know, this topic was about how to find joy in the journey. I've got to jump off of here in a couple of seconds here because I've got an appointment and I don't want to be having my customer waiting on me here. But if you guys have any questions, anything that you're going through in life that, you know, you want to talk about or share or have any questions, drop them in the comments real quick and we can handle those, you know, as they come in. But otherwise, guys, it's, you know, to review a little bit, it's just, you know, you really have to have a routine because without a routine, your life's always going to be a little hokey, right? It's always going to be feel a little off and nothing's going to feel right. And so, and by the way, that routine is never going to just go smooth. You know, this morning, my routine is a little bit off because I didn't get in here to Detroit until, you know, 11:30 last night. I had to get up early this morning to drive over to where I am. There was no hotels available, so I had to drive another, you know, so I didn't get to sleep until about 12:30. And so my morning routine this morning was rushed. So there's some things that haven't been completed yet. But when this meeting is over, before my next appointment that I have, I will sit down and finish those tasks so that I can create that rhythm in my life and feel good going into the rest of the day. And I think that's the most important thing that you can do is create some rhythm. And what that rhythm will do for you is create some protection for when those things come. When the storms of life come, you got some rhythm. Jordan Stupar, what's happening, man? Good morning. There's a guy that knows a little bit about adversity and knows how to deal with it. And, you know, it all comes from, I know the challenging days that Jordan has had. He will probably tell you that it's, you know, it's a result of getting off of the rhythm, getting off of his normal routine, allowing the outside influences to take control a little bit when, you know, you don't need to do that, right? It's you can choose to have any emotions going on in your life that you want, and those emotions are chosen by your own mind, and they are also influenced by the circle of people and the friends that you keep and the people that you keep around you. And so, you know, I am extremely proud of the circle that I keep and, you know, the people that are around me. That doesn't mean that that everybody in our circle expects everybody to just have phenomenal days every day. That's not the way it goes. But we are all there to help everybody else, you know, when those storms come. And, you know, Jordan has had talks on the receiving end of my talks and vice versa. Judd the same. There's a lot of people on this stream the same. Mike, you know, the people that I'm around every day. It's, you know, be there for each other. You know, I did a live on that the other night about, you know, being the person that believes in somebody else, but it's also be there for people, right? When people are going through the storms of life and, you know, you just have to sometimes listen and be a friend and give them some advice and you know, make sure you help them keep their emotions in check, because sometimes no matter what you do, the storms are big enough that they overcome you, and that's when you need a friend, right? You need a life preserver, and you phone a friend and hopefully they get you back on track. But I got to jump off of here, guys. Great conversation this morning. Thank you guys all for jumping on. Hopefully this topic was helpful. I would encourage you guys to hit the share button, leave some comments, tag some people that you think might need to hear this message. I think it's one that a lot of people could benefit from. So I appreciate all of you guys jumping on and spending some time with me this morning. I will be back in my normal element tomorrow. So I will post a topic tonight that we're going to talk about tomorrow morning. And if you guys have any topics that you want me to cover, by all means, drop them in the comments, shoot me a DM, and we'll add them to the list of things to talk about on the show. And yesterday's post about guests coming on the show, man, I got a ton of people tagged in there. I'm going to go through there, look at, who might be a good fit to bring on the show. I appreciate all of you guys jumping on here and starting your morning with me. So have an awesome day, guys, and look forward to talking to you tomorrow morning.